let's strive toward not being angry, that is, not sinning against God by imputing things to Him that are worthy of our moral condemnation. I mean, the only time there should be anger is when there is moral culpability against you. It's real. And even then it's not always right. You know, John, I say moral culpability to distinguish between broken clutches, bad brakes, bad transmission tray. Jonathan Edwards he resolved. He had 70 resolutions. One of them was resolved never to get angry at an inanimate object. And the reason he felt strongly about that is because if you get angry at an inanimate object, you're angry at God. Because God runs the world. God runs wind. God does this temperature. You get angry at this temperature because your fingers get cold, you're angry at God. That didn't come from nowhere. Resolve, never get angry at an inanimate object. The right place for Christian indignation is sin. Your own first. So most anger should be expended at yourself, and then the sin of others. But once you learn how God deals with sin, even that's going to be cut way down. Way down. The anger of man does not work the righteousness of God, James 1. Probably, yeah. The question was, is there a difference between struggling and being angry? Yeah, I think anger can probably exist in such increments that the struggle, whether to allow it and experience it is a different thing than suddenly having the full-blown thing and then having to repent of it or do something with it. And that's where we live, really, I think, that struggle level. And to the degree that you come to trust God's sovereign, wise, good, loving providence, to that degree, anger toward Him will tend to go down. If you doubt His wisdom or His love or His power, any one of those three, anger will tend to rise when circumstances hurt you. Because you will either think He's not wise enough to fix it, or He didn't care enough to fix it, or, what was the third one? Wisdom, love, and power. He's not able to fix it. Doesn't have the power, doesn't have the wisdom, or doesn't have the will to fix it. Yeah, it's a very controversial one. I think the solution to anger is not to take the power of hurricanes out of God's hand or the power of cold out of God's hand as though He weren't sovereign, but to go further and put wisdom, love, and power into His hand. Acknowledge that it's there. So you could pull the plug on anger at God by saying, God didn't do this. God did not cause this cold. God did not providentially rule over your broken car. God was not a sovereign and in control when the marriage broke down. God, just on and on and on the list goes. You could solve the problem of anger with God that way. And that's a big theological jump that most Americans make. I don't think that's biblical. I think the solution to that is to say, God, I don't understand it, but You are wise, You are all-powerful, and You are all-loving. And somehow, in and through all this pain and that earthquake or this family crisis, You have my best interest at heart, and You're going to bring through this whole thing something good for the glory of Your name and the joy of our own souls, and I trust You. That's the way I'm going to counsel you if you ever come to me with pain. I'm not going to dump on your anger and your tears. I'm just going to try to patiently direct you to God. And I won't say God didn't have anything to do with that pain. I won't say he doesn't have power. I won't say he doesn't have love, and I won't say he doesn't have wisdom. I will try to help you patiently walk through that crisis. When it's hard for you to believe that, I'll try to help you believe it, to believe for you, pray with you, put stories before you, like the story of Joseph, or the story of Job, or the story of Jesus Christ, to show how, isn't it amazing, isn't it wonderful that James, chapter 5, verse 11, tells us the point of the book of Job. You know that? You ever wonder, what's the meaning of the book of Job? 42 chapters of bad theology, or maybe 38 chapters of bad theology. What's the point of that? Here's the point. I'll read it to you. We count those blessed who endured. You have heard the endurance of Job and have seen the goal of the Lord's dealings. The Lord is full of compassion and is merciful. Period. End of story. The point of the book of Job is the compassion and mercy of God in and through the satanic attack on one of his best saints. Confess your sins. Be honest with God. There's no point in hiding anger or any other sin that you've got. The most horrible things. Oh, that people would believe this, because I know that addictions and food addictions and drug addictions and alcohol addictions and caffeine addictions and work addictions are mainly driven, I don't know if I can say mainly, in many cases are driven by people's locked up lives. There's something in there. They're scared to death. If people knew it for what it was, if they knew them, what happened when they were teenagers, what happened when they were kids, what they did at work, what they really consistently feel, they would be rejected. Life would be an absolute, utter chaos and mess. And so that undealt with stuff that's wrecking the life here, my body wasted away, groaning all day. What do you do with that? You medicate it. Eat. Drink. Shoot up, sniff, whatever. You do what you got to do to handle the pain, but you're not going to take it out because it's too scary. So don't do that. Don't do that. That's what communion with God will be deepened and enhanced. You cut yourself off from people, you cut yourself off from God. It's a sweet thing in a church where we can trust each other enough to get the worst stories out on the table to the trusted few and have them love us in spite of them, and then begin to be free from it and its effects.